Okay, so Tom Brady, have you heard of the guy? I mean, like him or not, and trust me personally, I've gone through a rocky relationship with good old Thomas. It is an uphill battle to argue against Tom Brady not being the greatest player in NFL history, and you could even go a step further and say modern sports. But what happens when a player of that magnitude leaves? A black hole is pretty much inevitable, and that's what happened in New England. But unlike other videos like this, all things considered, the Patriots are not a bad organization, and they actually made a lot of logical moves during this time. They were just forced to side with Belichick, and things did not really work out in his twilight years. So let's stop beating around the bush and get right into it, and figure out what happened in New England since the boy left them. And without further ado, let's get into it. If you fall down this video, I swear to God, Tom, do not think about it. It's January 4th, 2020, the day the empire fell. It's a day that was prophesized in the great book of this holy league for eons, but finally it came. The chosen one, King Henry, hath freed us from the curse of the emperor, and the Patriots dynasty was no more, as later on, instead of retiring, the Big Tom signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The best player of all time, who played his entire career with one team, left them, and did so on his own terms. What was also so unique about why Brady left New England despite the success was the relationship he had with Bill Belichick, and as time went on, it just kept getting worse and worse. It is a miracle of the heavens that they stayed together for as long as they did, honestly, because at one point Belichick made it clear to management he wanted Jimmy G to replace Brady, while he was still winning MVPs, and according to Thomas Jr. himself, by the end of the 2019 season, when he was set to hit free agency, because of Belichick mainly, he felt like there was pretty much no world where he would ever come back to New England. Now, if we know anything about Bill Belichick, when Tom walked into his office and told Bill that he was gonna leave the Patriots, Bill probably was just like, yeah, well, that's fine. They got a good team over there. Thanks for all you did here. Good luck. I mean, the brother had no emotion, and it had to at least been similar to his reaction when Andrew Luck retired.
Yeah, I didn't see that, but I haven't really followed them, so...
So with the greatest marriage in sports now over, both guys now had something to prove. For what it's worth, I think the, oh, Tom Brady or Belichick, who carried the other more argument is genuinely smooth-brained, but at the very least, it would be interesting to see how each would function without the other. Could the Emperor still rule the galaxy even without Vader? And could Vader himself carve his own legacy after New England, separating himself from other aging legends who did the same like Favre in Montana? So before the 2020 season, nobody knew what the hell to do with the Patriots. People overall expected them to be pretty mid, but that was because there were some people who thought they'd be a team carried by the NFL's best defense from the year prior, and they'd win a ton of games because Belichick still got it, while others were swearing they wouldn't even win like 4 games. But the main question was, who was going to play quarterback? Surely the Hoyer isn't going to be starting football games in the big 2020, and no, he didn't. Well, he did start one game, which we will get to, but no. Instead, the Patriots decided to have a little bit of fun and got SUPERCAM. Cam Newton was playing at the top of his game, is what I wish I could say, but no, this was sad to watch. Ever since he suffered a shoulder injury versus Pittsburgh a while back, he hadn't really been the same player. It was kind of rough to watch him now, but he still possibly had something left in the tank. But the number one question with Cam Newton was still just going to be his health. Could he actually throw the ball for an entire season? Which is crazy that the Patriots were worried about health now more than ever after moving on from a 40-year-old quarterback. But this Patriots defense was still projecting to be elite. They retained Devin McCourty, a longtime Patriots guy. Stephon Gilmore, J.C. Jackson was in his prime. They had pieces, but the offense was just looking so grim, and that is going to be the main issue during this Patriots era. Even if you were a Cam Newton truther, which I was at the time, it was hard to look past the talent on the roster. Outside of Julian Edelman, who was 34 years old, this team had Jacoby Myers, who's, solid slot dude, and N'Keal Harry, Holy shit, remember N'Keal Harry? No, I don't either. But the most devastating part about the season for the Patriots was with the most groundbreaking shakeup that this franchise has literally ever had, they were not even allowed to have an offseason because of COVID. The NFL barely allowed training camp this year and no preseason games. So in week 1, the Patriots rolled out for the first time without Tom Brady for the whole season since 2000. It had been 20 years since they didn't have Brady for a single game in the regular season, and of course, the game was a mess. But not for New England. Listen, man, Bill Belichick called a great game. The Patriots came in with an elite game plan, sort of understanding that Cam Newton's arm was violently cooked, and they needed to lead into the strengths they still had. The 2020 Patriots, if they had any plans of winning games, were going to be forced to lead into a college style of offense damn near, because Cam Newton had the same amount of carries as completions versus Miami, while 5 other players for the Patriots had carries in this game. They were ground and pound, dominate you in the time of possession battle, and clamp you up with one of the best defenses in the league on the other side of the ball, as Fitzception had 3 of them thanks, with J.C. Jackson and Stephon Gilmore looking like the league's best cornerback duo. So okay, hold on, this could work. This is a formula to win football games, and the Patriots carried this momentum of actually looking like a fun, competent team into a Week 2 primetime Sunday night showdown versus a prime chef and the Seattle Seahawks. And there was just something about this era of Patriots versus Seahawks football that was just must-watch TV. Yes, there was no Tom, but still, this game was maybe the game of the year, and Cam Newton put on a show. I'm serious, it was just so fun. Cam Newton was amazing in this game. He had 3 touchdowns and 400 passing yards, the 3rd most of his entire career, and the most he's ever had since his first 2 games in the league. And the Patriots fought, but came up just 1 yard shy. Real funny, script writers. Hilarious! But what was interesting about this version of Cam Newton was his lack of deep shots. Once again, he had no shoulder whatsoever. So under this Josh McDaniels offense, it seemed as if this was the best fit for this Nerf version of Cam. But that didn't last long, because at his core, Cam Newton is not a check down guy. And I hate to say it, but by year's end, Cam Newton would finish as the worst quick game passer in the entire NFL effectively. And when your entire offense relies on quick passes, that's not ideal. So, why was Cam not balling out? Well, look, there's no 100% clear reason as to what the hell happened with Cam Newton this year, but it came down to 3 things for me. After the Week 3 win versus the Raiders, everything fell apart because of COVID, which kind of forced Cam Newton to miss 1 game, but after he came back, he was not the same player. Then also, Julian Edelman ended up suffering a career-ending injury in Week 7, and Damiere Byrd did not really fill in well in his role. And f***ing Brian Hoyer. Hoyer the Destroyer. Really f***ed the shit out of my soul in a Raiders jersey, but in New England, he was the starting quarterback in the game that turned the season around for New England permanently in the worst ways imaginable. After starting 2-1, with literally 1 yard separating them from being undefeated, they faced the defending Super Bowl champion Chiefs, and one of the greatest offenses sports have bared witness to. Tyreek Hill only had like 8 kids at the time. Travis was still a virgin, and Mahomes hadn't acquired the dad bod yet. Nobody was messing with them, but Cam was not here. And Brian Hoyer walked into MasterChef this week and prepared a dish worthy of a signature Joe plate smash and a shotgun blast to the old gut. The Patriots would have won this game if Cam Newton played like he did versus Seattle. Brian Hoyer did not play like how Cam did versus Seattle, with the Patriots defense allowing a mere 6 points for the entire first half on the road versus Kansas City. That is ridiculously impressive. With mere seconds left and no timeouts, Hoyer could have taken a shit quicker than the time he took to scan the field, took a sack, time ran out, and they missed out on a crucial scoring opportunity. So cool, great, awesome. Surely that's the worst of it, right? You don't screw up that badly twice against the Chiefs, especially if you're a veteran who's been in the league for 15 years.
They're coming after him, just gotta get out quickly.
Like, actually, what are you doing? Belichick had enough at this point, and the legend himself, Jarrett Stidham, entered the game, and through some horrible, wildly unlucky events, he was not able to outduel Patrick Mahomes. So yeah, Cam Newton returned and played some okay football, but it wasn't the same. Teams began realizing, wait a minute, the dude either isn't able to throw over 40 yards, / Josh McDaniels ran out of electrons and forgot to add that part of football to the offense. So by taking away Cam's rushing ability, this forced Cam Newton to beat teams with his arm, or with the overwhelming talent of his receivers. Ryan Izzo, I don't understand. I've been playing fantasy football for like 15 years. I feel like I know pretty much every starting player ever since then, but this man started at tight end for the Patriots for the whole year, and I've never heard of this man's name once. By the midway point in the year, Cam Newton was playing some bad football. He had a pretty awful game-losing fumble versus the Bills, and impressively managed to win a game with a 23.6 passer rating versus the Cardinals. But then 1 week later, they beat the Chargers 45-0, and the playoffs were still on the table. Now, with another week in LA before they took on the Rams, an actual playoff team, this game was pretty simple. Win, and people will start giving you attention again. And lose, and well, that's kind of it for the season. Jared Stidham played in this game. Cam Akers ran for 170 yards, and the game was over by the end of the first quarter. And so too was season number 1 without Tom. And meanwhile, while Belichick was touring high schools to scout out his future girl prospects, Tom Brady was doing Tom Brady things and won a Super Bowl in just year number 1 with the Buccaneers. Now, I'm not a Patriots fan, but it's very obvious that this was a weird time to be a New England fan. Because on one hand, their team was not in a good spot, but you also still had this emotional attachment to Tom Brady, and it was cool to see him win a Super Bowl. And actually, I don't know, for what it's worth, I do actually relate to that feeling, because I used to be a huge Warrior fan, but once they moved to San Francisco, I didn't really care anymore. But when they won the chip in 22 and Steph Curry got that Finals MVP, not gonna lie, I almost shed a tear. Nah, that can't be it. But anyways, the 2021 offseason was about to not only be essential for the Patriots' future, but it was going to be huge for the future of Bill Belichick's career. Because, like, the dude already has a strong case as the GOAT coach. But if he could turn the Patriots around after Tom left, I mean, he'd lap Shula Landry and dudes like that if he could pull this off, surely. And so the Patriots made a decision that instead of going for a veteran like Stafford, Jimmy G, or, could you imagine? The Patriots instead looked towards the draft for a new quarterback. And I'll be honest, I think this was the first domino to fall in what would eventually lead to Bill Belichick leaving New England. According to numerous reports detailing what was going on during this era of Patriots football, a lot of the inside guys who Belichick trusted had left him, and at this point Bill had less power than ever before, as he instead defaulted to his scouting department for a majority of the Patriots' moves, including in the 2021 NFL Draft, as they reportedly ended up drafting their highest-ranking player on their board and took quarterback Mac Jones. But, like, how could he not be a success? Come on now, look at him, he even walks like Bill. Now, Belichick apparently wanted Davis Mills, so that was not really going to make a difference. But now in 2021, the highest paid coach in the league was set to move into the season without Tom, and now without Cam, because they cut him, and with a rookie quarterback in Mac Jones, who was given the impossible task of being the franchise quarterback after Tom. So once again, the Patriots weren't expected to be anything, while Tom and the Bucs were looking to repeat as champs. But once again, the Patriots started to shock people. Right away, it was clear Mac Jones brought something to the table that Cam Newton couldn't. Accuracy. Newton's leadership was also huge, but people also liked Mac Jones. He seemed like a chill guy, a funny person from all accounts, and it was easy to root for him. And he started out his career pretty damn well, too. In week 2, he played solid, efficient Belichick football, not making any crucial mistakes, while the second overall pick in the draft, Zach Wilson, put up a 4-pick masterclass. But the biggest game of Mac Jones' sports career, and honestly his life, was just around the corner. Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. was coming home. Sunday Night Football. This was can't-miss television. Brady versus Belichick, the atmosphere was electric. The standing ovation the Patriots fans gave to Blaine Gabbert was truly heartwarming. But this was one of those games where, looking back on it, you remember everything that led up to the game and not really much from the game itself. And in retrospect, it was sort of a slugfest. Tom broke the all-time passing record on a pass to Antonio Brown versus the Patriots, which is objectively funny, but in the end, it came down to a doink. However, Mac Jones played really, really well. He had 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick that wasn't really his fault either. So Patriots fans left Gillette that day feeling pretty good about the future. And if they felt that way, they'd be right. Patriots football was so back. It was boring to watch. It was dominant. It was ugly. It was just how Belichick wanted it to be. As for the next 2 months, the New England Patriots were one of the best teams in football. They only lost 1 game, and that was an overtime shootout with Dallas. But besides that, they won 8 of 9, and people were starting to pay attention. Mac Jones was stringing together 100-plus passer rating games left and right. The Patriots defense was smothering people with a breakout season from Matthew Judon, as once again, turns out, Bill Belichick knows a thing or two about defense. Seriously though, the Patriots were also just blowing out teams. Shutout versus the Falcons, 45-7 versus the Browns, 54-13 to the Jets. They were for real. They also had literally the most Bill Belichick game ever in a crucial Week 13 game versus the Bills. These 2 teams were likely going to face in the wild card unless one of them somehow got the number 1 seed from Kansas City, which they didn't. So now, whoever could take the division would be the ones to host a playoff game rather than be on the road. And Belichick turned back the clock to the good old days of 1923 and attempted 3 passes all game. With 40 miles per hour winds, the Patriots literally just went to recent plays on Madden every single drive and spammed the same run play. And by game's end, the Patriots were going into their Week 14 bye at 9-4 with a Bill Belichick defense that had allowed just 3 points in the last 4 second halves they've played in. But I don't know what happened. I mean, if we take a step back, like all things considered at this point, this era after Tom was honestly looking pretty damn impressive. They now had a potential franchise quarterback and were looking like fringe contenders. But the Patriots completely collapsed to end the season. And I wish I could say, oh, it was just because X player suffered X injury, but no. I don't know what happened. It was like all of a sudden, the entire NFL just figured out Mac Jones. They just started being dog shit out of nowhere. They lost 3 of their last 4 games, only beating the Jaguars, who, in the wake of Urban Meyer doing the thing where he, they were one of the worst teams ever. And their most devastating loss during this time came to the Bills, which all but forced them to go on the road for the entirety of the postseason. And for Mac Jones, things began looking concerning, like I said, as excluding the Jags game after their bye week, he averaged 235 yards, 1 touchdown, 1.6 picks, and a pretty rough passer rating of 65.5. I mean, they literally almost missed the playoffs. Like, it was that bad. But although they had 0 momentum, they were in the playoffs, and experience for a rookie quarterback is always a good thing, and who knows, with Bill Belichick, maybe they can scheme
all the way! Touchdown, Buffalo!
Try one of the single greatest demolitions in the history of the Patriots, and the worst playoff loss Belichick has ever had. It was Buffalo's division now, and for the foreseeable future, as the Bills scored on every single possession except for their final one when Kissing Titties took 3 knees. It was 33-3 in the third quarter, and the game was entirely over. And this was it. This, to me, was the turning point in the Patriots post-Tom, for all the worst possible reasons, because immediately following this game, the Patriots' franchise trajectory turned from sunshine and rainbows and good times with the reincarnated emperor to a dark well of despair and boring football, with 2022 being a just real letdown of a season. So okay, Mac Jones actually made a Pro Bowl. I know, what a time to be alive, am I right? But although he did have a solid rookie season, pretty much unanimously being the best rookie quarterback from that class, that wasn't really saying much of anything. As with Trevor Lawrence being bogged down by the Urban Meyer situation, and Justin Fields not really getting a fair shot either, his competition was Zach Wilson. And many scouts and GMs around the league were worried about Mac Jones' development, but as long as he could keep his number 1 gift, that being his confidence and swagger, he should be fine. But boy did that get taken away real quick. People began to realize that, honestly, Mac Jones' rookie year wasn't all that different from Cam Newton's season. Was Mac better? Yes, but not by as much as what people would want you to believe. Obviously, if you have a young quarterback, you want to believe he can become great, but the reality was Mac Jones never really flashed that ability to be a perennial Pro Bowler. And even from what I remember at the time while watching football, I was so confident that Trevor Lawrence was going to be better than Mac Jones in the long run. But also at this time, something had begun creeping up on the Patriots, and the drafting was just getting unacceptable. Everyone knows Bill Belichick can't draft wide receivers for shit, right? But for 3 straight years, post-Brady, and even damn near like in Tom's last season, they didn't add a single drop of offensive talent to the roster. From the draft, Ramondre Stevenson was like the best tool Mac Jones got to work with, and he was like fine for 1 year. And in the 2022 draft, Belichick decided to trade down with Kansas City to select guard Cole Strange, who was projected to be a 3rd-round pick, while Kansas City used their new pick to draft All-Pro Trent McDuffie. So, alright, sick. And now, with Josh McDaniels gone to coach for the... I don't know why I have to keep talking about this man, but it's my job. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is that Mac Jones lost his coordinators and instead was forced to work with Joe Judge and Matt Patricia, who both did not have the same type of chemistry with Mac as Satan did. And as the season began, all those positive comments being thrown Mac's way just slowly began to vanish. At this point, Mac Jones' weaknesses were clear. He had poor footwork, had a tendency to hold onto the ball too long, and for some reason, his deep ball that damn near looked like a strength in college evaporated from his game in the pros. Versus the Colts, in that rough loss to end the season last year, he was dared to throw down the field as Indy just packed the middle of the field, bringing their safeties down, and Mac could not punish them. And by year's end, he only threw 6 passes over 40 yards all year long, putting him right next to pre-Mike McDaniel Tua and Taylor Heineke. And unfortunately, that issue was only made worse, if anything, in 2022. So yeah, the Patriots lost a massive amount of their staff, who really did a solid job of masking Mac Jones' weaknesses, and turned to an alleged who's only ever been a defensive coordinator to call the plays, just because, like, he knew his way around the Patriots cafeteria already. And so, the season began horribly. They started out 1-2 with Mac Jones throwing 3 picks and 0 touchdowns in a loss to the Ravens, suffering an ankle injury in the process as well, which led to sweet mercy. It did not go well. Bailey Zappi even got some run, and I guess Patriots fans gaslighted themselves into believing he showed flashes, which he didn't. But when Mac Jones returned, things did not get better. He played alright sometimes, but his issues kept becoming more and more obvious to everyone. And adding on his complete lack of athletic ability, it seemed like the roof was going to collapse any game, and then it did. It sure did. Week 15, 2022, versus the Las Vegas Raiders and Josh McDaniels' revenge game. We absolutely sucked, but damn, Mac Jones might have played the worst game of his life to that point versus us. He threw 31 passes and converted that to just 112 yards and no touchdowns. It was pathetic, but still, somehow, the Patriots were probably going to win this game until one of the greatest plays of all time happened, and we stole the game completely. I remember when this play happened, I wasn't even happy like at all. I was just confused, but it did happen, and we won. Still though, the Patriots would finish the season going 8-9, with Mac Jones regressing across the field in pretty much every category while taking 0 steps forward in the process. And like I said, the team was just boring. Age was starting to catch up to the defense, and the offense was so unwatchable at points that Patriots fans were already starting to look back on the Cam Newton year with nostalgia. And honestly, I think the biggest problem now at this point was the Patriots didn't feel like the Patriots anymore. Yes, Belichick was still there, but with Tom gone, now removed by 2 years, the Patriots' way was starting to go away. When people traveled to Gillette Stadium, it didn't feel like they were entering the dungeon of death anymore. No, it was just another road game. And now in 2023, Belichick had to prove himself. So, what do you got for us, Bill? What do you got? Well, you know, to his credit, the Patriots drafted Christian Gonzalez, who's an absolute dog, and they brought in Juju? But that's kind of all the nice things I have to say, because this season was just an all-time meltdown from Mac Jones.
When he has to make plays, he can't make them. I'm telling you, based on all the years, I've had to defend against everybody. I would love to defend against this guy. Are you kidding me? Like, this guy can't throw.
The main question was, what was wrong with Mac Jones? Everyone was asking that, but the truth is, nothing really. This is just who he always was. This regression was a long time coming, and add on the Patriots having a terrible O-line, the worst wide receivers in football, atrocious coordinators, and a below-average quarterback, and what does that all lead to? The fucking most egregiously offensive offense to the game of football I may have seen in the last 5 years. And I'm a Raiders fan. Do not, I repeat, do not watch 2023 Patriots highlights. Hell, they even weren't fun on defense because they got demolished by injuries, with Gonzalez and Judon missing all year basically as they went down in the same game. But Mac Jones, bro, he played one good game all year. One. And besides that, he had one of the worst 2-game stretches I've ever seen, combining for 260 yards and 4 picks in back-to-back 30-point losses to the Saints and Cowboys, and then, in a tight game with us, he went for 200 yards and a pick while making some of the single worst throws I have ever bared witness to. It was 100% clear to everyone Mac was cooked. Like, what is he even doing here, man? This is not a man who should have a starting job. He had no more confidence, and there was no chance he could ever be anything resembling a franchise player in New England. So after back-to-back weeks of literally just refusing to throw the football because Belichick said so, they turned to Bailey Zappi, who was somehow even worse than Mac Jones by pretty much every metric. They didn't score a point versus the Chargers in Zappi's first game starting. So for 3 straight weeks, the Patriots in 2023 combined for 13 points total. I can't do it, bro. The Patriots' best offensive player this season, and I am actually not lying to you when I say this, pound for pound, in terms of overall productivity, their best player on offense was Ezekiel Elliott. I tried to block this time from my memory, but I guess the fuck not. So this season was an astronomical disaster of incredible proportions. Cam Newton had failed, Mac Jones had failed, and now Robert Kraft had to pick up the old bolt action and point it at his most trusted subordinate and admit that after Thomas had left them, Bill Belichick too had failed. And the two decided that Belichick would not return as the Patriots head coach in 2024, meaning this limbo era of Belichick without Brady, which will probably largely be forgotten by history, had come to an end with no franchise quarterback, no playoff wins, and a whole lot of what-ifs. So the Emperor was gone, but there was no celebration across the league, because like I said, at this point, nobody feared the Patriots anymore. But it was time to pull the plug, and you know, at least New England moved on before wasting any more time and hired a former player at head coach in Drake Maye. And without Belichick's influence, they had a chance to shape their franchise's future, build up a culture, and the 2024 NFL Draft was going to be perfect for that. And it's still early, but, you know, Drake Maye was their first-round selection, and he showed a lot of promise in his rookie season. It's just, that was fucking it. That was the only thing they did in the draft. It's not just Bill Belichick. The Patriots just can't draft wide receivers, period. In the 4th round, they took wide receiver Javon Baker, who caught 1 pass in 2024. But way worse than that was in the early 2nd round. Like, it was damn near a first-round pick, but they used their 2nd-round selection on Jalen Polk, with Tavondre Sweat, Cooper DeJean, Kamari Lassiter, Edgar and Cooper, and more being selected pretty much right after him. And what did Polk do in 2024? 87 yards in 7 games started. Dude was outgained by Mecole Hardman on the year. Oh yeah, and I guess I gotta talk about it, but the 2024 Patriots, yeah, I actually thought they'd be somewhat respectable, but no. Drake Maye lost his clipboard more times than the Patriots won football games. Jacoby Brissett was so ass the Patriots were forced to sacrifice Drake Maye to the worst offensive line in football that didn't have an active center for most of the season, while the leading receiver on the team was Hunter Henry. with 674 yards. One of the worst offenses in football is what we saw last season from New England. A horrendous defense, a horrendous O-line. There was almost no positives with this Patriots team. I mean, if Drake Maye didn't pull off this play versus the Titans, I think Patriots fans would have just given up on life right there in the spot. But New England finished the 2024 season going 4-13, and once again, at least they have another top 5 draft pick where, honestly, at this point, nobody really knows for sure what they're going to do. But by the time you're watching this video, there is a good chance that you now know. With new head coach Mike Vrabel, the Patriots made it clear they want to get Drake Maye some help, as they signed Stephon Diggs to an interesting deal, and with their new shiny draft pick, all signs are pointing towards either offensive line help or potentially Travis Hunter. Both could be very solid additions, but still, the Patriots are a few seasons away from real contention at least, and although for 1 year, with Mac Jones looking promising, it looked like they could turn things around quickly in this post-Tom Brady era. Nothing really came from that, and unfortunately for Belichick's legacy, this post-Tom era and Bill-only time will forever be known as a failure. But maybe the Patriots have found themselves a franchise quarterback, and that's something that, trust me, a lot of teams would kill for. And who knows? Maybe in 2025 or a year or two later, the Patriots could be right back on top of the league. I'm just kidding, no they won't. But anyways, if you like this video, then subscribe, because I got a lot of videos on the channel that are just like this one. And if you did like this video, watch this video I did a few weeks back on the 1972 Miami Dolphins and their complicated legacy as potentially the best team of all time. It's pretty good, trust me. And thanks to all my Patreons for pledging money. It truly does mean a lot. And if you haven't checked it out, I updated some tiers and I even have a merch store, so you can check that out too. It's much appreciated. But anyways, until next time.